Hey, good morning. It's Friday, August 14th. Great to have you here this morning. Again, thanks so much for looking in. This morning, we're going to look back again at 1 John 4 and the power of love and what love is all about, specifically how love drives out fear, and also specifically how love addresses the issue of passive-aggressive behavior. So let's see what the word has to say about that. So again, just to refresh us, here's what 1 John says. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in him. Now, what better situation for us as Christians is that? That if we are living in love, we're living in God, we're participating in what God saved us for, and God in turn dwells with us. Love is made complete among us so that we will have confidence in the day of judgment. In other words, because of love, I'm confident in Judgment Day. If that's true, then everything else falls into place. Our greatest fear has just been addressed. Because in this world, we are like him. That's our hope, our security. Now, what follows, if I live in confidence, that means there is no fear in love. But perfect love, or complete love, drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. And this is where we get to the passive-aggressive stuff. The man who fears is not made perfect in love or made complete in love. Well, passive-aggressive behavior is a form of fear, because God calls us in dealings with other people, he calls us to do two things. If there's behavior we need to address, we are either called to, one, overlook it in love, key word there, in love. In other words, I can be gracious, I don't have to bring this thing up that somebody's doing, or rather I can just live with it, love them, and appreciate them. Or I can confront them in love, as we're called to, where we lovingly confront someone to bring them to a good position where they see their sin, where they see their sin, and we help them with that. But in both cases, when I run up against behavior that is not good behavior and something that someone needs help with or could be changed, God wants me to address it in love. I either overlook it in love, or I pursue it in loving confrontation for a good end. Passive-aggressive behavior is an attempt to get between the middle of those things. It's a fear-based attempt where, well, I can't overlook it because it really bothers me, but I don't really have the courage to take it head on. So we kind of do this slipping around thing where we sort of passively get them to try and see something, and that's how we try aggressively to solve the problem. The problem is, because it's a fear-based approach, it never produces any good fruit. So understanding what love is helps us to address passive-aggressive behavior. So again, go back to 1 Corinthians 13, where we see these descriptions of what is true love and action. We'll pick it up in the middle of the verses. Love is not self-seeking. That means I can't confront someone else for the purpose of serving myself. I've got to serve God. Love is about showing God's love, not being selfish. Passive-aggressive behavior is selfish. I don't really want to pay the price. I can't ignore this. It bugs me too much, but I don't have the courage or the wherewithal or the stamina to really go after it and address it the way God wants me to. So I choose this middle route. Passive-aggressive behavior is self-seeking. Love is not easily angered. Passive-aggressive people are super easily angered, and they have to fight to control it all the time. They get irritated. So that's where this kind of half-hearted attempt to change behavior comes out. But really, if we're angry quickly, and we don't want to show it in a vicious way, or we don't want to confront it nicely, or we don't have the courage to confront it at all, that's passive-aggressive person is easily angered person. Instead of being loving and caring, we get irritated and upset. Love keeps no record of wrongs. Passive-aggressive people keep a huge record of wrongs. When you start listing all the things what someone else has done to you, and their offenses are right at the tip of your tongue or right in the forefront of your mind, like a video playing in front of you. You see somebody, and the first thing you see is discreditable of all the bad things they've done to you, and you get upset with them. So you're keeping a record of wrongs. Passive-aggressive people are excellent keepers of wrongs. We got that list that's there. So those three things, about being easily angered, about self-seeking, and about keeping a record of wrongs, those are indications of passive-aggressive behavior. What God calls us to is to love. But passive-aggressive behavior only produces fear. So passive-aggressive doesn't drive out fear. It doesn't ultimately solve our problems. All it does is frustrate the people we're trying to help and frustrate us because the help doesn't work. So we go back into even more passive-aggressive behavior. And then we get self-pity. And then it's poor me. And then it morphs into actual maybe outbursts of anger or cutting off of relationships. In any event, passive-aggressive behavior is not love. It's fear-based. And if it's fear-based, it will not produce the life that God desires in you or in the person that you're trying to help. Perfect love casts out fear. Complete love. So remembering these three things about love: it's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered, doesn't keep a record of wrongs. Faithfully doing those things will produce in you a love for God that does drive out fear. Give me some feedback. Great to be with you today, and Lord bless. Have a great day. Bye-bye.